6. As we gather, we are reminded that the town of Bonnyville is situated on Treaty 6 land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and is the traditional homeland and home to First Nation and Métis people today. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nation, Métis, and all First People of Canada whose presence continues to enrich our community. Council, before us, we have an agenda. Were there any changes, additions to the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do not have any additions or amendments at this time.
Okay, we'll look for a motion then to approve as presented. Councillor Blanchette,
I'll move adoption of the agenda as presented, Madam Mayor.
all in favor? Carried. All right, next we have meeting minutes from the council meeting June 23rd, 2026. Were there any changes to those minutes? Seeing none, motion then to approve those. Councillor Sidlick,
I'll move to accept the meeting, the agenda, the minutes as presented.
thank
Going
you.
backwards here.
All in favor? Carried. Next, we have the organizational meeting minutes from April 28th, 2026. If we've all had a review, were there any changes to those? Okay. Motion then to approve as presented. Councillor Sharoon? Pardon me.
I'll move the organizational meeting minutes dated April 28th, 2026.
All in favor? Thank you, carried. Okay, a couple delegations with us this evening. We will start with the Hive Bike Kickstand. Welcome. Hello, good evening. Yeah. We'll just ask that you use the mic this evening when you're speaking, and we'll give you about 15 minutes. Probably do a presentation and then do some questions and comments after.
10-minute warning.
10-minute warning? Sure. You bet.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and councillors. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Grace McClellan. I'm the operations lead for the Hive by Kickstand, and our lead agency is the Bonnyville Primary Care Network.
As everyone has met most of you, I've met most of you before. Jessie Steen, Executive Director with the Primary Care Network in Bonnyville.
I do believe you have received this presentation already,
Yep.
so I'm going to try to not read it or talk through all of it, but I just want to thank you for your land acknowledgement that you provided for us already. And we are so grateful to also have the opportunity to live, work, and play in this beautiful territory known as Treaty 6. And as a Métis woman, I'm so grateful for that. Our Hive by Kickstand Bonnyville has a beautiful history. So the history of our integrated youth hub, if you just move forward in the slides, many of you have been part of it from the beginning. We just celebrated our 4th birthday here in June, and with the final renovations, we had a beautiful birthday party with the young people. They have actually asked that we would just celebrate together with the youth, and they want to ramp up something quite big for next year for the 5th. And so we have currently 3 staff, full-time staff, and 1 summer type position as we're posting for a program assistant. So those are the people that you can see if you come to the Hive as staff. Our building is a beautiful building. We'd love you guys to come through. We've made a few changes. If you haven't been there in the last, I would say 6 months, there's been some movement, some different things as we've had some staff changes and some new youth who've joined our youth leadership and our action council. They've put some inspiration and some ideas, and there's been a few little changes to really make it even a more welcoming place, if you can imagine. So if you haven't been there, we'd invite you to come back and have a check at it. In terms of what are integrated youth services, if you're unfamiliar with that, really it comes by those 10 principles that are listed here. The biggest thing I would let you know is that it's looking at a barrier-free opportunity for young people. Everything that we do is based on allowing young people to come through our door, being the one door. And we want, it might not be the right door, but we want to bring people through our door that are going to be able to offer services for them. So ideally, if you go to the next slide, we're going to be using a stepped care model of delivery, and we use that in collaboration with our lead agency and any partner who comes through our door to support youth and manage their concerns. So we bring adults to the table in a barrier-free environment for young people to serve them. And many, many young people have been coming through our door because they think it's a safe place. They may be coming there for fruit snacks or to actually see our primary care physician who comes to offer services. But ideally, they're coming into our space that they've identified as an environment that's accessible for them. I'm going to pass it over to Jesse, who will talk about our need.
So, thanks everyone for having us this evening. So the Bonnyville Primary Care Network acts as the fiscal agent for the Hive Kickstand Youth Hub. We have been in that position since about 2019 when we started this initiative in collaboration to bring more youth mental health services and accessible services for youth to the community. So why we're here this evening is that we are respectfully requesting that the town of Bonnyville consider redirecting funds that were previously committed to the child and adolescent mental health program to the Hive Kickstand. Currently, the request is set at $75,000 for the fiscal term. The significant reason for the large request is that with the closure of the CAMH program, and due to the loss of the provincial funding that we had that supported that for many years, the demand for youth mental health services has completely shifted and significantly impacting our local primary care providers. The PCN mental health walk-in services, the PCN walk-in clinic, family physicians, and our youth hub. The loss of the program has resulted in the elimination of critical care coordination functions, including mental health navigation and liaison supports for youth and families. And so with this need, this service continues to grow, and we're seeing that sort of falling now into the youth hub. And so we're looking at ways to alter that funding to create that gap in supports again, by way of trying to sort of prompt the program up in a different way. So during the last fiscal year, so actually if you could go to
the previous slide, please.
previous slide just for one moment. So what you're going to see here is that the need in the services continue to grow. So during the last fiscal year, the Hive Kickstand Youth Hub recorded more than 4,200 youth visits within that year, averaging approximately 350 youth in the hub each month. With 38 of those being new youth coming to use programs. Now, as a reminder, the stepped care approach also includes the 6 dimensions of wellness. So our programming is not only based on, social connections, emotional, mental health wellness, as far as physical, it's really all encompassing. There's drop-in programs and there's registered programs. So these youth have access to a number of different aspects. But the significant thing that we are seeing is the demand for youth mental health. So we believe that these numbers demonstrate both the sustained demand for youth services and the critical role that the Youth Hub plays within the community's continuum of care. The Hive Kickstand's Youth Hub has confirmed operational funding to sustain its core services for the next 3 years. Currently, this grant is funded under the Mental Health and Addictions Ministry as far as $500,000 for each fiscal year for the next 3 years. However, this funding does not provide the capacity to replace the expanded and specialized mental health services or navigation supports that we were providing with the CAMH program. As a result, the burden of supported youth with increasingly complex mental health needs has shifted to the existing hub staff without the corresponding resources or training. While we recognize that funding healthcare services is not traditionally a municipal responsibility, there has been no sustainable commitment from our government, from Primary Care Alberta, Recovery Alberta, our local MLA, or any partners that were previously engaged. To help stabilize these essential services, we've come back to sort of request support from the town of Bonnyville. Despite the previous program demonstrating a very positive outcome in the work that we've done since 2016 when the program was established, and only operating on a $70,000 to $100,000 budget annually to remain operational, no one in those groups has been able to find that in their budget accessibility. Although we continue to advocate and have applied for additional funding over the last 4 years, we did have to cease that program, as you know, this term. So with our request this evening, we are hoping that the redirecting of the town's existing $75,000 commitment to CAMH previously to the Hive Kickstand Youth Hub, we would be able to provide immediate stability to start expanding our youth counseling capacity, strengthen our mental health navigation services, and family support services again. We're hoping then to continue to help address the service gaps created by the closure of CAMH. This investment would enable the hub to continue providing timely integrated care while actively pursuing longer-term provincial funding opportunities and other sustainable funding resources or sources. This request represents an opportunity to preserve and strengthen an established highly utilized community service that continues to respond to the growing mental health needs of youth and families across the Bonnyville region. So throughout the presentation, what you'll sort of see is just that increased access versus the increased cost. So why we're not able to fulfill it in the Kickstand grant as it stands is that those funds were already committed to the Hive operations. And so what we're looking to do is sort of build a bridge between what CAMH was offering and what we're offering within the hub, and then utilize those funds to sort of help bridge that until we can find something more stable and or build it fully into the Kickstand programming. So again, just a reminder, the ask was $75,000 to redirect into the programming. So I'm going to pause there because I know there's often lots of questions about these programs, and I'd like to be able to answer all of those while we're here. Since most of you do know the program, I know Yvonne, you may not know it as well, joining recently, so happy to answer your questions, but I'll just open it up to council members and Madame Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councillor Blanchett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you both for being here this evening. I know for myself, the Hive is something that I'm very proud of in our community, so thank you for offering the services. I have a few questions. One is relating to the numbers. Are we able to go back to that slide? So looking at that center column regarding unique participants, I'm just wondering, are those broken down where the 96, for example, in April, is it the 123 in May in addition to that 96, or would that 96 be captured? Like, does that renew each month, I guess? Are you counting new ones each month, or?
So that would just reflect, pardon me, that would just reflect, the new ones are reflected only on the far new column. So 96 would just be individual young people who come in. They may, those 96 youth have attended 307 times. So, and 14 of those 96 were there for the very first time.
Okay.
So the next month, 123 of those participants might have those 96, but 45 of those were brand
were
new,
new.
never walked through our doors before.
Okay.
So that's where the average new participants on a monthly basis that I had said were about 38 new youth come in on a per month basis.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And then later in the slides, it indicates that you've pursued a variety of other funding, including fundraising campaigns. Do you have any details on any of those fundraising campaigns?
I apply for everything. So I have applied for many grants and many things. And so we're working through Tummies for Toonies. We're doing a Spotify summer sponsorship, actually connecting with all of our previous Spotify sponsor wall, just getting that ready to shout out starting at the end of July, early August. So even those individual connections are kind of garnering a little bit of excitement, and even just some food donations, which is meaningful, right? That doesn't require funding for us. So we've created an Amazon wish list so people can partner with us. So those are just three kind of off the top of my head, but we are applying for lots of opportunities, connecting with partners in oil, just as many things as I can do. But there's some exciting things that are going to be coming in September.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you. And one final
and
question.
sorry,
Sorry,
Councillor
Jesse.
Manchette, just, and I'll add, then from a larger grant perspective, we continue to obviously look at anything from a $10,000 to $500,000 grants from a provincial or a federal level. So any of the mental health grants that were announced, we applied for all of those. Unfortunately, either our program was too small or didn't quite fit the type of capacity they're looking for. It wasn't as large of scale that the trajectory would go for the grant. So we've also applied for all of those. And then again, continue to advocate through obviously Scott Sierra MLA to have additional supports through PCA Recovery Alberta.
We even did your garbage cleanup campaign for $7 a bag.
Oh, great. Awesome. I always wonder who participates in that. So
It's
thank
us.
you. One final question. I know that the request is for 75,000 from our municipality. Is there a similar request going to the MD of Bonnyville?
Yes, so typically we've taken the same approach as we did with CAMH, is that the hopes would be is that there could be a matching grant. Obviously, we've asked for more. Historically, the town has ranged anywhere from 25 to 50,000. Obviously, we are coming in at a higher request, and the MD has typically matched that. So our hopes would be to do the same to again reboost that stability of access and resources. Yeah.
That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions up to now? Okay, Councillor Shurin?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excellent presentation, and we've all been to the Hive a few times over the years, and excellent programming, and it's great to see what you're doing in the community. So thank you. I've just got a few questions here too. Going back to that youth access, the unique number of participants and new participants. So when you do the math with the total number of visits by month. So would that be fair to say that every youth attends maybe twice 2 sessions, or are there some that only go once and some more? But the average is like a little over 2.5.
Absolutely. I would say I have some who come daily and others who might not come more than once, right? So we definitely have some regulars who need us. But yeah, you're right.
Correct.
Okay.
So, and again, with the registered or drop-in programming would sometimes dictate that. So some youth are coming for a specific purpose, which might be either a medical appointment, counseling, and they're just coming for that registered service or appointment. And then some come for drop-in services. So we do collectively. We give you the total numbers.
Yes.
If you're seeking some additional breakdowns, we can always send them and follow up.
Okay. Second, would the monies go to the PCN and then redirected, or through the Hive, correct?
Yes, correct. So the PCN would act as the fiscal agent, manage the funds and the programming to support the services through the Hive.
Okay, and then the unknown with the PCN, where could we be in a year's time?
So you're going down a nice question path there, Councillor Schoen. So obviously with the regionalization of PCNs, the timeline is pushed out a little bit. We were expecting that PCNs would have been regionalizing this specific area by spring of this year. That has obviously been delayed, and unfortunately I do not have a specific timeline. My projection, and Dr. Hansen, our chair, would say that, you know, we're probably still 18 to 24 months out, truthfully, but that is an unknown to us. Yeah.
And under your application, under line or item number 20, you say here that this primary benefactors are from young ages from 11 to 25 and their families. Now, I really wasn't aware of the families and how they are integrated into the Hive, the counseling services. If you could touch base on that a little bit.
So in the model of working with youth and mental health, there's obviously different consent and different levels that we can work with them. So whether they are mature minors or not, depending on what that status is, as some youth we do have to integrate either a guardian or a parent and how we work with that youth. Also, sometimes it's helpful when we take a stepped care approach or an integrated model is that there are tools and things that we can provide families within the home or within their external networks, like their school partnerships, as far as how to support that youth. So it could look different for every family or youth, but essentially some family members may attend those sessions or they are not considered a mature minor status, and we would have to have a guardian or a parent in those sessions as well. So it can extend in a number of different ways.
Okay. And my last question is, I know that the PCN has been actively advocating to keep this program going, and you're applying for grants provincially and federally. Now, what is going to happen to this program? What's going to happen to this youth should, all those be unsuccessful, like at this point? Like it's, right now, are you running on last year's budget where there was still money, or how's that?
We are running on nothing. So we're running on fumes and a dream. So really there is limited service offering. There's virtual servicing through Kickstand. So we're leveraging as many partners as possible. So that's local to the community or Edmonton resources, or even in further communities like Lloydminster or Grand Prairie, Fort McMurray. Basically, we have to go outside of our community right now to bring in some counseling services. So very little that we are providing at this time.
Okay, that is all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Okay, Councillor Kushner.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Grace. Thanks, Jesse. Just one question further to Councillor Sharoon's question about the request. So you're running on fumes right now. Are you asking for this $75,000 for this year, or are you getting ahead of the game and doing it for like January 1st?
So ideally, if there's opportunity in the current fiscal term, if there's any flexibility in the current budget to redirect, we would take anything, but also getting ahead of the game to see if we can continue to try and stabilize moving forward. So right now, we do not have the funds to basically put anyone in the position or boost up the navigational services. But we are already seeing the impact of closing the program a few months ago, significantly in the walk-in clinic and the physician. So basically, we're open to what council has accessible or flexibility within the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I do have a couple of questions. Out of the youth that are attending, do you have any idea how many are town residents versus the MDE or other local communities like Cahuan or?
I don't have that information with me right now, but I can get that back to you, Madam Councillor.
Yeah, and the last fiscal term, they were actually split almost 50-50. So all schools, we have students and youth from all school districts, as well as then our MD and town utilization were about like almost split in half.
Don't have the exact though.
But we can, definitely get those for you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And do you guys partner with Alberta Mental Health, Dragonfly, Child and Family Services?
Yeah.
And can they provide some of these services?
Yeah, and they are. There is some, but some of them are specialized, right? So Dragonfly being more focused certain areas. The CAMH program that we had focused on depression, anxiety, and ADHD, very specialized as far as those supports, because our primary care physicians would then prescribe the medication required. So our program fulfilled the navigational and counseling services. We leveraged well, it was addiction and mental health previously, but now Recovery Alberta. We had supports through a mental health nurse or a counselor, and then our own supports as well. So we leverage those partners for the specific needs that they fill, but there's still a big gap in those that require medication support, which is where our programming can come in because we have the physician partnership under the PCN.
And I think I read somewhere in your presentation about having a mental health therapist for 12 weeks, 2 days a week. So is that what the 75,000 would only cover, is that?
Well, yes, essentially. So it basically would top up, we would use it as top up funding to have them in at minimum 2 times a week. As we continue to restabilize the program, then we'd look to build that. At the peak of our programming, we had someone accessible 4 days a week. And so we'd like to rebuild to that, but we obviously are trying to start at a level where it's agreeable to partners that it shouldn't be in your funding realm. We shouldn't have to come to you for $150,000 for overhead and wages. So we're starting at looking at, okay, if the MD in town can support this piece, we can start to get someone in at this level and then rebuild from there.
Okay, good. That's all, thank you.
Thank you. I know we're past our time, but you
Okay.
did break for a few questions and we took up a little bit of time. Was there maybe some final comments that maybe you wanted to bring to our attention that we didn't get an opportunity to ask or you didn't get to?
The only thing I would continue to state is that, yes, we sometimes talk about there is access to virtual services, and even Kickstand does offer that. There's free counseling available through Kickstand Connect. But many youth come in, I say, I can get you hooked up with this, you need something immediately. And they'll say, okay, I need it right now, but I need you to sit with me there. And so I am sitting with that young person in a room for an hour while they are speaking to a therapist. So my time is with that young person as well. And that is the only time they will do a virtual service, is when we sit with them. So, but I'm not the therapist. So they still want that person contact. And every other time they're turning around and walking out the door because they want to meet in person with somebody. Virtual services do not work in our community. They want connection with an individual. And so that's what we're really hoping to bring. And our partners are great, but they have offices and people that need to be seen in their offices. And so we really need someone to come and bring that integrated service level into the barrier-free place at the Hive.
Thank you for having us this evening and letting us go over a little bit over.
I really appreciate all the work that you both do, and I think plays a very important part in our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, all right, council. We have another delegation with us this evening, Emil Shapka, Penny Fox, No CO2 Pipelines Alberta. Welcome. Welcome. So we'll do the same. I'll give you an opportunity to do a presentation. We'll also do 15 minutes and then we'll get an opportunity to do questions or have comments after as well. So the floor is yours if you could use the mic.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you for your consideration and time. Penny and I consider ourselves to be everyday Albertans, friends and neighbors, who are about to have a 30-inch, 2,000 PSI pipeline come through our backyards. So my first comment is, what are we doing here? So this isn't necessarily opposing something for the sake of opposing it. We really think that this project is a very bad idea at all levels. So this is a CO2 pipeline. This is not an oil and gas pipeline. So that is a very different thing. CO2 is an asphyxiant and it's toxic and it has its own unique set of risks. Secondly, this project is being billed as CCUS, which is carbon capture and storage, when really what it is it's toxic waste disposal. It puts our lives at risk, it puts our land at risk, it puts our water at risk, and we are going to pay for it as taxpayers. So, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Satartia, Mississippi, but in 2020, there was a pipeline rupture almost identical to this. And it blew, and it put 49 people in hospital. Because it's an asphyxiant, the first responders were unable to respond because it chokes out internal combustion engines. So there were people convulsing and seizing all over the place, and the first responders really had no response. So they got electric golf carts, and they stacked those people up like firewood, and they carried them off to the hospital. So it puts the lives of people adjacent to the pipeline at risk, and equally of concern is our first responders, because most of them throughout this entire area, they're all volunteer. So that's a big consideration for us. If you look at that map shows the proposed route, and in it is a color-coded hazard zone. So because CO2 is an asphyxiant, it doesn't disperse, and the closer you are to the CO2, the more harmful it is. So If you're adjacent to it, you can die. It can have health effects up to 10 kilometers away. That map is incomplete because those are just what we know for the projects that have been, applications have been made for. So this project has been divided up into 120 some individual applications, but we fully expect to come farther down the line to where we live by Lake Bellevue. The blue area is the proposed storage area. So that area is 3 times the size of Prince Edward Island. And I think the first thing I think that needs to be appreciated is this entire project has been fast-tracked with no environmental impact assessment. This will be the largest such project in the world, never done at this scale before, and there is no environmental impact assessment. Where to begin? So the risks, Australia had a project 1/10 this size, and they not only denied it, they banned carbon capture and storage permanently. So it wasn't allowed to happen in Australia. Secondly, in the last month in Alberta, I don't know if you've noticed on the news, but there have been 4 known induced seismic events or earthquakes. 2 were outside of Bon Accord, and those have been attributed to industry, to the Shell Quest project, where they are injecting CO2, not for storage, but for enhanced oil recovery. So in the last month alone, there have been 4 induced earthquakes. So theoretically, and I'm not the expert, those kinds of things could be happening anywhere in that blue storage area. And the plan is to inject this stuff for decades, as long as the expected life of this project is expected to be as long as 40 years. Secondly, this is not the carbon dioxide in your soda stream. It's coming down, scrubbed out from up north. It contains hydrocarbons, it contains contaminants, it contains a lot of really nasty chemicals that are not really good for people and other living things. So the proposal is to take all that, and at pre-arranged sites along the route, they're going to inject that underground and expect that it's going to stay there. Carbon dioxide mixed with water forms an acid, carbonic acid, and what it does is it starts to leach out heavy metals and arsenic from the water. So there is going to be changes. And again, I'm not going to debate the technicalities of it, or I'm not the expert, but I think a little common sense is it will change the quality of the groundwater. So you've got the risk to first responders, those along the route, the potential to harm water, first responders, and then the land itself. The problem with all of this is that it has been linked to the pipelines, and that I can't explain and that I can't speak to. It's just a condition of the pipelines going east and west is that this project go through. This project is supposed to reduce the emissions of CO2 so that we can meet our environmental commitments. But unfortunately, industry produces 92 megatons a year. This project is slated to only capture 6. So if it performs to the best of its potential, we're only going to be capturing 6% of the emissions. And industry itself, Martha Finley Hall, who worked for Suncor, she was a proponent of this project, did an interview, which we sent to you in the Globe and Mail, where she says now is not the time for CO2 because its effect on the environment is going to be negligible. So as lay people, we're sitting here, well, if it's going to be harmful and it's not going to really do much, why are we doing it? And then lastly is we're going to pay for it because we've had numbers started at 16 up to 20, and now we've heard as much as $30 billion. And industry does not want to invest. So most of that is going to come from federal and provincial dollars. And we just see that as not in the public's best interest when we have local teens not even be able to access mental health services because there's no funding. So the last thing is we see no benefit to this. As local residents, all of us in that little blue area in the map, we are assuming all the risk, and outside of potentially some pipeline jobs, over a period of time for $20 to $30 billion. We are assuming all the risk and there's no direct benefit. So it's expensive, it's dangerous, it's putting our land, lives, and water at risk. And so we think it's a recipe for a wreck. And so at a bare minimum, we are asking all the governments within that area to, at a minimum, demand that the government do an environmental impact assessment. Because we have no reason to trust their claims. You know, Carney repeatedly talks about net zero by 2040. That's just, he's either ill-informed or it's just not going to happen. I mean, there's no way that you're going to have zero emissions ever if they're only capturing 6% now.
I think the other thing, you know, why are we here? So our neighbors in the late 2023 started having landmen calling and showing up and asking for rights to cross their property for a pipeline. They were under the impression it was just another pipeline. Those were the terms that were used. Like we have hundreds of thousands of miles of pipeline in Alberta. It was AMO that discovered that this was just not another pipeline, that this was a CO2 pipeline, and it's something very different and something very dangerous. So we started meeting with the neighbors. We actually worked with MLA Scott Sear, and I believe the same day that the open house happened here in Bonnyville, it happened here in the morning. They also did an open house in St. Paul that afternoon. That was in 2024 at some point. So they came, they had, you know, the displays, people could come. That was the first time we saw the map. They rolled out the giant map of the county of St. Paul and some of this area and said, this is proposed where that's going to go. Some of that has changed. But that's when it struck us that this proposed pipeline could be real. Since then, and as close as yesterday, the MOU has now been signed with the 5 partners of the Oil Sands Alliance, because they've changed the name. They were the Pathways Alliance. This is now the Pathways Project by the Oil Sands Alliance. That MOU has been signed, so this now is very real. So, you know, as people that are passionate about our community and people that are passionate about our region, we took on the job of a meeting with lots of people, holding open houses. We'll be having one here soon. Just to inform people about what this is about and what the risks are about. As municipal councillors, you know what it's like to handle a waste management system. You have landfill systems. Imagine being able to do that without any kind of environmental assessment. It wouldn't happen. So why is that happening with this waste? Our understanding is that this is simply taking the CO2 and the other toxins that are now being released to atmosphere from Fort McMurray and being pushed down this pipeline. So they'll be liquefied and they'll be pushed down the pipeline and they will be stored underground forever. So this is a waste management problem. And as you know, just because you bury something in the ground doesn't mean that it goes away. It generally causes a whole other set of problems. So our job has been to talk to people, talk to our councils, talk to our communities, talk to our neighbors, and talk to anybody that would listen, talk to the press, and say that we're concerned. We are concerned because we are going to all of us, where the pipeline is one thing that's concerning. The storage hub area is another thing that is concerning, and we're concerned about all of it, and we're just trying to make people aware. As municipal councillors, you now will be starting to be approached, as we understand, by probably not the Oil Sands Alliance, probably CNRL. CNRL is the one that is taking possession of the assets and will be managing and maintaining those assets. So they will be coming to you to form their emergency response plans. So I'm sure they will be talking to your regional fire authority. They will be coming to you to talk about any utility crossings, water crossings, road crossings, any of that sort of thing that they need. So we want the municipalities to be aware that the potential of this project and how huge it is, the biggest in the world, and ask the right kinds of questions before you enter into agreements with CNRL or any of the members of the Oil Sands Alliance.
And then, so County of St. Paul was quite concerned, especially over the groundwater. And so they suggested that perhaps they might get together with other municipalities and there might be strength in numbers. So we've also approached the town. We did a presentation to Elk Point yesterday. You know, if there's an appetite for it, I think there might be advantageous if you were agreeable to, apply as an entire northeast block. As stupid as this whole thing is, and I can't really talk about it with getting emotional, no environmental impact assessment. I mean, you can't take out your garbage without having it assessed. And so I think it behooves anybody in government and serves the public interest. I think it's just absolute insanity that they would contemplate this project without that. So.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, the information. I'll open it up to council first. Any questions or comments for our delegation? Councillor Langridge?
Thank you both for coming in and even the education aspect of reading the presentation. I'm definitely not an expert on carbon capture by any means. So 2 questions. One, from what I understand, there's multiple carbon capture projects all over the world. And do we know the success rate of them? Okay, then I'd be very...
Almost all of them are underperforming, and very few of them have met expectations. And then, yeah, so you can do that work yourself, but they are, yeah. And there's 10, one is shut down completely, and all the rest have been, none of them have met their expectations.
The other concerning part of that is, my understanding is once Oil Sands Alliance has got the permits and the licensing to use that space for underground storage, that automatically opens the gate for any other emitter to also use that space. So we kind of know the numbers that the Oil Sands Alliance is going to do, and they're huge. They're millions of tons. But we don't know then what the potential is for any other emitter that would also want to use that space, which is most of Northeast.
Yeah, but to answer your question, that information is easily available, and they're not doing well. Despite industry claims, like Scotford's claiming it's a huge success because they've been at it for a while. And I mean, we had 2 earthquakes last week alone just in Gibbons.
No, I appreciate that. And my second question is to the environmental impact study. So have you been, has your group been made aware that that'll never happen?
They told us no.
They told us no, and they have not responded to my nice letter. Really nice letter.
And the only reason I ask is we've seen throughout the whole country how hard it is to get any national projects built because they have to do so much environmental impact and consultations, especially with the Indigenous communities. Now, this project is going through a lot of different traditional lands and Indigenous communities. So I don't, just again, from the experience with the pipelines, not the carbon capture, but they've got a pretty long road ahead that sure that has to have a lot more consultation, and I don't believe they'll be able to ram it down the throats of everyone. But again, just from more of a comment than a question. So.
And this is just me, my personal bias. Like, this is energy serfdom. This is not nation building, because we're going to invest tens of billions of Canadian tax dollars, and the profits all leave the country to American companies. So it's beyond me how they can stand up and claim that this is nation building. Yeah, okay, we're going to create some pipeline jobs, and it might be some periods of local prosperity, but this is not nation building when all the profits are going south.
I did ask the CNRL rep, as an adjacent landowner, we had the right to have him come to our home. So we had a CNRL rep come to our home, spent 4 hours with us, answered a lot of our questions in those very early days. One of the questions I had for him, as I was trying to find some benefits of this project, was how many long-standing, long-serving positions would this add to St. Paul? Because that's where we live. And he said there wouldn't be any more employees there after this project than there is now, that being 2020. So, now the advertising from the Oil Sands Alliance is all about jobs. And no doubt, there will be lots of jobs in the year that they clear all the land for the pipeline, and in the year or more that they build that pipeline. But we don't know how many long-term sustainable jobs that will mean for any of our communities. We would encourage you to ask that question. Because one new family is a benefit to every community, so we're about community. we hear the ladies that were here before, that's what community building is all about. We are big volunteers in our community. This is the last place we wanted to be, but we couldn't not be here. We couldn't be quiet.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Any other questions from council, comments? I did have a question, but Neil kind of touched on it, and it was if you had gone to the open house and had asked them if they had done the impact assessment. That was my question, but I think in a roundabout way, you've already
I went
answered it,
with-
that
yeah.
they had said,
Yes.
sorry.
No, they had told us and some other organizations, no. I did go to that open house, revved and with a binder of questions and got answered. And actually, they did answer some of the questions I had in the front end. Now, every time that we have a whole bunch of new questions, Scott Sear has been the one forwarding those questions on our behalf because Oil Sands Lines is not in our community. Do they have an office here? Is there any presence here? We don't see them. That day they left our community, we have not seen them back. So we haven't been able to sit across the table and ask them. So we've been taking those questions to Mr. Sear. He's been forwarding and getting them back to us in short order. So we do have those. And they are answering some, but they're still, every time they answer one, curiosity takes us to another place and we have another question.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention and appreciate it. And appreciate all the work that you do for our community.
And
So
you've
thank
got
you.
our contacts and
Yeah.
emails and stuff. We're not experts, but I think we know more than the average person and we're learning fast. So if there's anything that we can do, or if you seek anything in the future that we can assist you with, don't be shy. We'll give you a hand with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, council, we now have an item in MPC. If I could get a motion to move into MPC, Councillor Langridge.
I'll give you that motion, Madam Mayor.
All in favor? Carried. All right, MPC, call to order. We have an agenda. Any additions to the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do not have any additions or amendments at this time.
Okay, motion to approve the agenda then, Councillor Johnson.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? Carried. Next, minutes from MPC June 9th, 2026. Were there any changes to those minutes? No, seeing none. Motion to approve those minutes as presented, please. Councillor Blanchette.
I'll move approval of the minutes from June 9th.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on. We have a proposed development permit. Who would like?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Administration has received and processed an application for new signage at the above noted location. The proposal included 3 fascia signs to be installed on the building, one on the front and one on each side. However, the land use bylaw 1447-16 currently limits fascia signage to a maximum of 2 signs per building. As a result, the approval was granted for the front-facing sign and the one sign on the west. And then the applicant is doing for the variance to get the 3rd sign. This parcel is unique within the municipality as it's bordered by a street to the west, an avenue to the south, and a lane to the east. This configuration provides visibility on 3 sides of the building, offering an opportunity for signage on each facade and more balanced overall appearance. Adjacent landowner notifications were distributed in accordance with the Municipal Government Act, and we have not received any negative responses to this date. It's the recommendation that the Municipal Planning Commission approve development permit application 26D0046 with the provided conditions.
Thank you. Any questions for administration? Okay, excellent. Looking for a decision? Councillor Johnson?
With the way the building sits, I agree with administration. It's unique and it fits with the building. So I would be willing to make the motion that the Municipal Planning Commission approve the development permit application 26-D0046 with the 4 conditions.
All in favor of the motion? Thank you. Motion to move back into regular meeting, please. Councillor Langridge, thank you.
I'll give you that motion, Madam Mayor.
All in favor?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, we do need a motion to adjourn the MPC.
Okay, sorry. So the motion should be to adjourn the MPC. Sorry. Did you amend the motion?
Yes, I will. To adjourn MPC.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, next up, bylaw. St. Bellamy Foundation for the Arts Loan bylaw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the March 25th, 2025 Council approved bylaw number 1591-25, which authorized the town to provide a loan of up to $800,000 to the Clayton Bellamy Foundation for Arts to complete the Strathcona Performing Arts Center located within the Bonnyville Centralized High School at 4808 49th Street. Upon the completion of the project, the Strathcona Performing Arts has since been completed, and final amounts required for the town to complete the project was $349,234.58. As a result, the town is requesting that council amend the bylaw to authorize the loan amount up to $346,234.58 to reduce that number down from $800,000 for our borrowing power.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Sharoon?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one. So we had made that bylaw to loan them 800,000 with interest, et cetera. So by approving this bylaw, all we're approving now is 346. So in reality, we haven't given them any money as of yet. Is that correct?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through to the councillor. So we did draws off the funding. So what we took out is what we pay on, and our interest is paid on that. So when the contractors were working and the draws were taken out, that's the total amount was 346. And as to date, that project is now concluded. So they don't need the additional borrowing capabilities. We're just using that 340,000 as the mortgage.
Okay. And you did say that they have made some payments on the initial draws already.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, we had it at the higher amount because we were waiting for them to see if they were going to be successful in yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, that's exactly correct. So the idea was to ensure that there was enough funding there in place for anything that came up additional that may have not been foreseen. It's kind of a safety blanket, and I think at the time there was a bit of a request for some additional changes that I don't think were necessarily completed because they weren't necessary. So the total cost of the project was less than anticipated.
Yeah, just making sure that it's clear why we're bringing it down. We had that larger amount, they were successful in the grant, and so we can bring it back down. Okay, so we are looking for all three readings. Please. Do our first reading, Councillor Kushner.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I would introduce and give first reading to bylaw 1616-26, the bylaw to amend bylaw 1591-25.
All in favor? Carried. Looking for motion for second reading. Councillor Blanchett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move second reading to the same bylaw.
All in favor? Carried. Motion to move into third and final reading. Councillor Johnson.
I'll make the motion to go into third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion for third reading. Councillor Sharoon.
Madam Mayor, I'll give you the third and final reading for the amendment to bylaw 1616-26.
All in favor? Carried. All right, next we're looking at a funding request for Big Smoke Bonnyville Barbecue Competition.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Administration received a sponsorship request from Big Smoke Bonnyville for a barbecue competition sanctioned by the Kansas City Barbecue Society. This event will run from August 14th to 15th, 2026 at the Peter Kushner Ballpark and will feature a barbecue competition, entertainment, and family and friends activity. The barbecue competition will include Master Series Backyard, kids, queue, and drinks. Additional features including public food sampling, vendor market tables, licensed beer garden, live music, family entertainment, and late night food truck. At the June 13th council meeting, organizers Ryan and Robin Tom provided the presentation for the event. The sponsorship package included with the presentation had ranging from $250 to $3,000. They also requested sponsorship from the MD of Bonnyville in the amount of $4,000 and have been approved for $1,000. The request of the town of Bonnyville for this event is $14,000.
Okay, thank you. Opening it up for questions or comments. Counselor Johnson.
Through to administration, if memory serves me correct, wasn't their original ask 10?
That would be correct.
Okay, any reason why we're up to 14?
Through to the councillor, at this time, I wouldn't be able to like speculate directly why the change. So I would have to find out from them directly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Counselor Langridge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Obviously, this one started from the original events committee many moons ago, and it's one that's near and dear to my heart that they've continued to grow the event. I do know after we gave the event to the other group that there was two things. They needed to form a not-for-profit organization, and they were to try and make it sustainable as well on their own. So at this point, I still don't believe, I think they're in the process of getting their society papers in order. But I just feel this request is a massive request for what we had discussed a couple of years back. If it would have been a smaller request, I'd be a lot more open to it. But at 14,000, we see other groups that do a lot in our community for that kind of money. So it's a hard one for me to support, although I'm a big fan of the event and attended it last year. It's just, that's a large sum of money from going from 0 to 14,000 in a year's time. So just my comments.
Counselor Blanchett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll start with a question to administration. I know that the request is for 14,000. Do we have the option to provide a lower level of sponsorship if council so chose?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to the councillor. Yeah, I believe you can go anywhere from $250 right up to the 14,000 mark if you wish. And I believe that in the statement there, the MD did only sponsor 1,000.
Thank you. As Councillor and through to you all, as Councillor Langridge mentioned, this was an event that was started by the events committee, and I think this is the 5th year that they're doing it. And the goal was to hand it off to them and send them on their own to do it. And I have a hard time not supporting it at all. I think I would agree that $14,000 is a significant jump from what we originally even budgeted when we were doing it through the town. I think that our budget was about $5,000 at the events committee level. Additionally, then there was council remuneration for us attending it and staff time, et cetera. So I'm sure that that could easily be doubled. But I'd like to see us supported in at some level of sponsorship, just because it is something that that we kind of spearheaded as a municipality in the first place. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Councillor Schroen.
Yes, thank you. All very good comments are on the table. Again, it's great for our community. It brings in a lot of people. Again, it is a for-profit. I'd have an easier time to make a decision and give money if it was a non-for-profit and they had their charitable status. Where I'm going to go with this is yes, and I do want to support it and I do want to help it. And through to administration, is there anything we can cap for work in kind? Did they need any help with anything like that? And is that something council would be interested in supporting rather than something financial?
So we can definitely work with community groups if given notice. And I think that, our public works staff have been pretty open to doing events and coordinating that way in many cases. So the only request that we would ever ask is give us some notice and time. So for us, it's not a huge ordeal to kind of work with community events, especially community partnership programs, and provide support. And I think that yeah, I don't see any issues as staffing support in that way, or if we had to provide a stage or equipment, stuff like that, we could definitely negotiate or talk to them about different opportunities as well.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Kushner?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I think I'm with the rest of the councilors around the table. We love the event, but everybody, and us included, we don't have a lot of money to spend. I mean, we have $4,300 in our council reception and public relations, and then another $5,000 in another, and that's it for $4,300 or $9,300, and we're in July. So 14,000, I'm not even close to where we need to be on that. It's unfortunate, but it's also reality and where we're at financially. So I'd love to see it keep going, but we said right from the very beginning, when they take it over, the goal was for them to be sustainable. And that's been, what, 4 years now? Maybe 3 years? No, but that they've been going 3 years, and they're still not anywhere close, as you can see, to being sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Although I think some of the costs that they're incurring have been out of their control. I think by their presentation and what they've submitted, I think that I really like the work that they're doing. When it comes to, even when we look at the expenses and income, which, we don't see with a lot of other organizations, how organized they are. So I would like to see us support them this year. Yes, not at the 14,000, maybe we come in and match the MD, or if we look at some of the other ones, I'd be, even at the 2,000, or sorry, 1,250, the diamond, I would like to see us support them in a financial capacity, but yeah. Councillor Blanchette?
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion and see where it goes, and yeah, we can go from there. So I'm going to move that we support this event at the platinum level sponsorship, which is $1,000, and that is in line with our friends across the street.
Any questions on the motion? Councillor Langridge?
Just a question on the motion. Would we be able to tie it to them successfully receiving their society paperwork? Whoever wants to answer the question, but
Well, put it to administration. They should.
through to administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You can tie it to those terms and conditions. The only caution I would state is that it would be dependent on how long it would take for registries to get that registered and actually get through the process, so it could take a bit of time. I would be going out on a limb to say I think they have the ability to have it done by December 31st. I think that the process wouldn't be necessarily that long of an ordeal to get the paperwork completed, and if they had it completed by the end of the year, we could definitely provide them with funding if that's so the amendment that the council would wish to go with. And I don't think it's an unrealistic timeline, but yeah, I just caution that just if there's any complications, that could set them back.
And the reason I ask is here's my concern with the motion. We've seen in the past 2 weeks us turn down other requests, and a lot of the argument's been because they were a for-profit organization. I just have a hard time if we set a precedent with that to approving anything that is a for-profit organization. I mean, I know that they've said they're going in through the process, but that's just, again, with the motion on the table. I just have a hard time supporting it because we're gonna go down the list and more requests are gonna come in. And if we do for one, then I'd like to do for all. So just my comment on, question on the motion.
As long as administration's of the view that that's reasonable to have it conditional on completion of registration of their society documents with corporate registries, I'm fine with amending my motion. And just to Councillor Langridge's point about this being a for-profit organization, I wholeheartedly agree. I think for me, I have a hard time turning it down when we told them that this was the goal for them to take it over all along. So I get it, but yeah, I will amend my motion to add that condition.
Okay, so what is the motion then? On condition that they do receive it or that they're working on it?
No, that my motion will be that we provide the sponsorship on the condition that they complete their society registration prior to obtaining funding.
We're good? Okay, Councillor Kushner?
Yeah, just a clarification on that. So they could go ahead with it, and then after the fact, if they get their charity status, then you'll give them the amount of money, is that correct?
Yeah, based on the wording of the motion, that they would have to provide sufficient evidence that they have completed their non-for-profit status as a society, which would just be the certificate of corporation.
So, but it can happen after the fact, after they've had the event.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, yep.
Councillor Shurin?
Are we saying completed the process or approved? Because if they complete it and if there's glitches in there and they're not approved, then we're back at square one.
Well, to administration, to their point, that they have received the certificate of
Okay,
incorporation.
so that's approved. Because you can complete the paperwork and it takes months to.
Totally agree. You know how I wordsmith things. I totally agree.
Okay. So the motion is to approve $1,000 based on the presenting of the incorporation of society.
Yeah,
All those
we'll
words.
work the motion correctly.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions on the motion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, next, another funding request, Young Chief Consulting and Training Scaffold Builders Competition.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Administration received a sponsorship request from, attached is a sponsorship request from Young Chief Consulting and Training, who are sending a team of 5 builders to compete in the 27 North American Scaffolding Competition in Las Vegas, Nevada on January 19th, 2027. As per the email from Tyler Young Chief, the Scaffolding and Access Industry Association has confirmed that this will be the first Canadian team to participate in an international competition and the first Indigenous team in history to compete at this level. Sponsorships range from $1,000 to $25,000 with varying levels of recognition. The recommendation to council is that council provide direction to administration on the level of sponsorship, if any, for Young Chief Consulting and Training to attend the 2027 Scaffolding Builders Competition.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for administration on this request? Councillor Blanchette?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to administration. Is this a for-profit organization?
I believe so, yes.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So it's a it is a for-profit, but what they're doing here is they're developing workforce development with their skilled trades, correct?
That would be correct, yeah.
So it's not something that would be just a sponsorship. They're actually going there for workforce development. Correct?
That'd be correct, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? I guess I just have a question. How does this differ from, because one of our grant streams, we do send athletes, teams, or individual athletes to higher level competitions. Provincials, we've sent some teams to nationals. We haven't sent them, sorry. We have given money for them to compete. That's just going through my mind as we're looking at this one. Like, how does that differ? And I mean, I get it, workforce development versus an athlete. And does that come into play?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Just throwing that out there as.
Yeah, so as part of the policy with the municipality, this falls under what we would call I'm gonna forget now. There's different classifications of sponsorship and events. So depending on the type, so for provincials, we consider that more youth-based. So when it comes to providing sponsorship and sponsorships to sports, it's treated a little bit differently because those are a bit more of students going, and they're not necessarily part of an organization outside of their school. So that funding helps to get them there, feed them, busing, those sort of things. So where this is a little bit different, and it's unique that we haven't had a request similar to this because it's kind of outside of that, so it'd be considered an event. So it's hard to compare because it's not really similar to other events that we've had, but it is kind of a competition in a sense as well. So it's kind of one of the reasons why we wanted to bring it forward to council for discussion and debate. Knowing that it kind of sits in two different areas in our policy, but it doesn't really fit either. So it's just more because it's out of scope. So it's kind of our answer. I know it's kind of convoluted, and I apologize. I'm probably not answering directly, but it is a little bit complicated even for administration trying to figure out what council's perspective of the policy would be on how to apply policy at this point.
No, that helps. Thank you very much. Councilor Schroon?
Yeah, just when I'm reading it, like, so not to be confused, so that the sponsorship funds that they're requesting would be for training and competition preparation that would be done here, and then they're going to go to the competition in Vegas. So when you're talking about work support, you know, what other training are they doing here and stuff like that. So is this in our wheelhouse or not? I'm not 100% confident that it is. Thank you.
All right, any other? No, okay, we're looking for a decision. Council, is this something that we support? And if so, at what level? Or accept information? I think would be the other one, okay? Councilor Langridge?
Madam Mayor, I would prepare to make the motion that council deny the request for the level of sponsorship for the Young Chief Consulting and Training to attend the 2027 Scaffold Builders Competition.
Thank you. Questions on the motion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, next funding request, Lakeland Extreme Bronx and Bulls, Extreme Bulls Night Out.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Administration received a sponsorship request from Lakeland Extreme Bronx and Bulls for an Extreme Bulls Night Out event. This event is scheduled for August 29th, 2026 at the Bonnyville Rodeo Grounds. The Extreme Bulls Night Out will be a one-day event that will include bull riding, barrel racing with dance to follow. Other comments is that at the June 23rd council meeting, organizers Chad Colburn and Sean, sorry, I can't pronounce the last name, provided an overview for the event. Although this event has not been held at the town of Bonnyville in the past, two events similar to this one have been held in the city of Cold Lake. Extreme Bronx and Bulls is for-profit organization, and some of the funding received from the event will be allocated to two non-for-profit organizations. The request to the town of Bonnyville for this event is $7,500. This level of sponsorship would name the town as a presenting sponsor for the event and include 14 passes with VIP seating and seating services, as well as name recognition at the event during announcements on banners, in advertising material, etc. The recommendation to council is that council provide direction to administration on the level of sponsorship, if any, Lakeland Extreme Bronze, for the Extreme Bronx and Bulls, Extreme Bulls Night Out.
Thank you. Any questions for administration? Councillor Blanchett?
Mayor, through you to administration, in the RFD, it indicates that some of the funding received will be allocated to two not-for-profit organizations, and I apologize, but I cannot seem to find within the information provided which organizations that is. Do we know?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To the councillor, we are not aware of who they would be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Johnson?
Just more of a comment at this point. Just because we are running very low on our budget here for these events, being that this is a first step trying to get into a current budget year that's been set, I find it hard to support, and especially with it being for profit again. We've been getting so many of these requests, and we have to unfortunately say no sometimes, although it sounds like a lot of fun, and it will bring people out. And with supporting nonprofits, if they're going to be distributing our funds to nonprofits, we could be supporting these nonprofits already through other avenues, right? So it's almost like, could be like paying them twice depending on who it is. So that's just my opinion on it.
Thank you. So I'm actually going to take a comment from one of our councillors earlier. Is there a way that we could do some in-kind work for this type of event? Because I know they talked a lot about doing a lot of groundwork and that's where I thought maybe something we could help them with there.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, yes, we could definitely work out some opportunities there. Again, just with some notice, we would need to work that with Public Works to see how we can assist. And depending on the request, we could figure out a timeline. And if I don't think there's any requests that they would have at this point that would be outrageous for us to assist in. It'd just be more about timing.
I can't recall, sorry, remind me, because they have to move these chutes, and is it a specialized equipment that they have to move them with, or is that something that we have?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, it'd just be regular bull chutes that would need to be moved. So it's just, they're all modular, so they can be picked up and moved, and they can be dismantled and rebuilt. So it would just depend on where the chutes are located. And from what my understanding is they're already on the rodeo grounds within the proximity. So it'd just be a matter of moving them a little bit. So to get the irons moved wouldn't be a big issue.
Thank you. Councillor Schern?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just playing the devil's advocate on that one. I did do some thinking after I had thought about it. If we approve a work in kind for this organization, even though we have an Ag Society, and I know we fund them to the tune of $15,000, and that's our annual contribution, and they do a lot of events for us, and we have our name all over. And the Ag Society does all the moving of the chutes and the corrals and the harrowing and everything all on their own. If we did offer work in kind, perhaps, we could be setting a standard, and then the Ag Society could be coming and asking us, well, can you help us out with that as well? So yeah, I'm kind of stuck on that one.
Okay, those were just my thoughts when they did their presentation. It sounded like there needed to be a lot of manpower, and those are my thoughts. But otherwise, I do agree with the comments that have already been made. Councillor Krishna? Councillor Langridge? Oh, okay.
Well, all I was going to say is, the group could make a request to administration. I know other groups, when they've needed help at times, administration tries to work with every group as best they can to help them. So if there was an opportunity, I would just say to obviously directly contact administration, because we can't really put a value on the work that needs to be done because we don't know. So that would just be my only comment.
Thank you. Counselor Kushner?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So I'm prepared to make a motion that we deny the Lakeland Extreme Bronx and Bulls any sponsorship.
All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, next, funding request, the Janvier Mural and Fine Arts, Soul Symphony.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attached is a sponsorship request from John Janvier, Mural and Fine Arts Ltd. for a film production titled Soul Symphony. The art of Alex Janvier, being held at Cold Lake Energy Center from August 1st to 10th, 2026. This is a film celebrated the features of Alex Janvier and its significance throughout his career. The event includes a series of public film screenings as well as a private lunch event involving members of the Janvier family, Cold Lake First Nations members, and event sponsors. The recommendation from council provide direction to administration on the level of sponsorship, if any, for Janvier, Memorial and Fine Arts Ltd, Soul Symphony, the Alex Janvier Cold Lake launch event.
Thank you. Any questions for administration? All right, comments, looking for a decision, council. Councilor Blanchette?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to administration. Is this a for-profit organization?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe so. I'm not 100% on that. I just want to make sure that that's clear, but I believe it is.
Thank you. I love the view that if we wanted to support it, we could support it as individual councilors who attend. Okay. All right. We are looking for a motion. Councilor Sidlick? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put my mic on. I will make the motion that we deny the sponsorship request.
All in favor of the motion? What did you? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Okay, committee reports. We'll start with Councilor Sidlick.
Mic on again. Okay, I'll start over. On June 24th, I attended the LICA regular board meeting and also attended the Highway 28 Safety Improvements Information Session in Smoky Lake. On July 1st, I attended several Canada Day events, which included working at the Pancake Breakfast, the opening ceremonies at the museum grounds, and the parade. On July 7th, I attended an events meeting debriefing the July 1st activities. On July 8th, I attended a LICA meeting and the Northeast Municorp board meeting. And on July 9th, I attended an MDP workshop with council and administration.
Alrighty, so for me on June 24th, I attended the Highway 28 Safety Improvements in Smoky Lake. On June 26th, I attended the Bonnyville Health Center 40th anniversary, which blows me away. It's been 40 years already. It seems like yesterday it opened, but I'm dating myself. July the 1st, Canada Day. First of all, I want to thank administration, Public Works, and everybody through the organization who worked really hard in a short amount of time to do a big pivot on the day, from going from our party in the park, which would have been our own mud fest again. So now we pivoted into the C2. Very well received. I think everybody had a lot of fun, and I know there was a lot of work behind the scenes that made it look very seamless, which at times I'm sure it felt like it wasn't. So thanks to all of them. July the 2nd, SPCA, I attended the SPCA admin committee meeting. July the 3rd, I attended the Bonnyville Regional Water Commission presentation from MLA Scott Sear for the Water for Life grant for just under $670,000 for the Fort Kent and Ardmore line. July the 6th, I attended the RUSA in Cold Lake, their Utilities Commission. July the 7th, we had an events committee meeting. July the 8th, I attended Northeast Municorp in St. Paul. And then July the 9th, MDP workshop. That's all for me.
Okay, June 24th, I was in bargaining with the BRFA, with HSAA. And also on the 24th, I went to St. Paul to the Alberta Hub meeting. July 1st, pancake breakfast, Canada Day parade, Canada Day celebration. Was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It was a good pivot, I thought, going from the park where we would have destroyed the park to inside. So I think it was a good call on that one. July 6th, we had a CAO evaluation meeting. July 8th, went to the MD Spasm Clinic grand opening. That was very interesting to see. And then July 9th, MDP workshop with the rest of council.
Thank you. For myself, on June 25th, I had an ABMA members meeting. And so just to bring you all up to speed, we are working with a consultant who's taking us on pro bono. But we will be, the members agreed that we're going to be reaching out to all of our member municipalities to see if we can't find a lead municipality to apply for an ACP grant. So they're helping us with that. So we might see that request come. June 26th, also attended the 40th anniversary of the Bonnyville Hospital. June 28th to 30th, I had the privilege to attend a business exchange conference between Africa, Canada, and Asia. I was asked to sit on a panel discussion for women in leadership roles. I was the only mayor from Alberta actually there. So it was quite welcoming. I think a lot of people were happy to see a municipality there. And so I did take the opportunity to market the town of Bonnyville, not just for investment opportunities, but also as a bilingual municipality. So I also want to thank our economic development officer for joining me and all the hard work that she did for the town of Bonnyville there. July 1st, attended Canada Day ceremonies parade. On the 2nd, I had a mid-sized town mayor's caucus executive meeting. On the 8th, also attended the grand opening for MD Spasm. And on July 9th, MDP workshop. Following with the mid-sized towns mayor's caucus, we had a meeting with Minister Williams. We continue to advocate for support for mid-sized towns. And then on July 10th, I had an ICF pre-meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. June 29th at a C2 meeting, followed by, I had the privilege of showing around a potential pediatrician that will hopefully be joining the team here in Bonnyville in the healthcare. Him and his family are currently out in Newfoundland and looking to relocate here. So I had a good time showing them around and all the amenities in our town. On July 1st, I filled in for pancake flipping as the mayor was a no-show that morning, so. I'm just kidding, but I was privileged to have the pancake flipping duties because that is a pretty coveted position, and then a good job to everybody on the day. Now she's going to be mad at me. So on July 8th, I would not on my council duties, but I'd like to thank Councillor Sharoon. The Imperial Oil and the Bonnyville Pontiacs had their second tree planting day, and a thank you over to administration and Public Works. They found us a location. We went out to the Bonnyville landfill and planted 270 trees, and Councillor Sharoon probably did half of those himself. So it was a great day out there, and hopefully we'll get some that live, and we'll pretty up the landfill, although it is already a pretty good looking landfill. So Then I attended the MD Spasm open house. On the 9th, the MDP workshop. On the 10th, an ICF meeting, and that is it for me.
Just further to the goals for trees, Councillor Langridge, hopefully next year we have, 100 or 150 more goals so we can make it all the way in playoffs here. So that'll be our goal for next year. But thank you. That was a fun time. We had some, we had a lot of good help out there. June 24th, I also attended along with my fellow councillors the Highway 28 safety improvements in Smoky Lake. We did chat with the construction manager, Landon, for quite some time. And we got away from just what was happening in their Highway 28, more in our area as well. And in the fall, stay tuned, whether it'll be in Bonnyville or Coal Lake, they will have another presentation, but it'll be for our area here more so. On the 29th, we had a C2 board meeting. The auditor made his presentation. There were no significant risks, audit risks at all. No recommendations, so everything's right on track there. July 1st, Canada Day took part in all the celebrations, and a shout out to the Jelson family and Sobeys for providing all of the products for the breakfast, and the proceeds, I believe, went to the museum. And again, thank you to the C2 and all our public staff for pivoting on last minute's notice. So great job for everyone. Again, on the 8th, I did the goals for trees, and attended the MD Spasm open house. On the 9th, the MDP workshop. My AB Munis functions on June 25th. We had a regular board meeting at K Division. I have forwarded to administration that the K Division administration would like to come to Bonnyville, hopefully this fall, take a tour of our RCMP quarters, meet with council, and look at the old RCMP building. So it was a very interesting meeting, and getting to see all the new technology that they have there. And on the 10th, I had an AB Munis Finance Board meeting, and that's it.
All right, June 25th, I had a meeting with Alberta municipalities to discuss an upcoming education session at their annual conference, where I will once again be a panelist, so stay tuned for that one. June 29th at an FCSS AA board meeting in Edmonton. June 30th, along with Councillor Palmer from the MD of Bonnyville and our Director of Community Services, we met with MLA Scott Sear to discuss the FCSS program. The goal of that was kind of just to share our thanks for the provincial grants that our local program has been successful in obtaining, and then we shared some of the successes and challenges experienced in our region. And from my lens as the president of the Provincial Association, I was able to provide some additional information about the provincial landscape, and hope that in caucus he can be a champion of the FCSS program. June 1st, along with everyone else, attended the Canada Day celebrations, and I would also extend my thank you to everyone who pivoted on that day to make it successful. July 7th, Events Committee, Canada Day debrief, followed by I had kind of an onboarding / orientation meeting with Caitlin for the Economic Development Committee. July 8th, new board member orientation for the FCSS Association. This new board member will be representing the Calgary-Bow River region. And then I went on to attend the grand opening for the new pain clinic. July 9th, also attended the MDP workshop. And then July 10th, I had a virtual health and social well-being committee meeting with Alberta municipalities. That's all for me.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to correspondence. We have our council budget timeline. I have just a quick question on this one. Going all the way down December 15th or 22nd. So, because the 15th is a GMP.
Correct, yeah. So what I would say at this time, the The dates could be fluctuant. They may change as we get a little bit more into the discussions and depending on how things go.
Yeah.
This is tentative. So from what needs to be done, this is kind of the timeline that would be best fit. But if there's any things that need to be changed while this processing, will be more flexible. We'll be changing dates as needed. So that's why it's not coming as an actual business item. It's coming as a correspondence just to state that this is the kind of the timeline that we need to be following. And the other thing I would add is also that some of these dates are already in conflict. So we'll be adjusting these as we go along with council as we get into the workshop discussions and dates. Just to.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because we'll have to change that to a special meeting.
That's correct.
We have to do that then. Okay, that was all I had on that one, sorry. Business license report, April to June, 2026 capital project updates. Any questions on any of those three items? No? Okay. We have a proclamation. I just need to get to it. Okay. National Drowning Week, Prevention Week, July 19th to 25th. I think I did that last year. Too. Okay, whereas National Drowning Prevention Week serves as a critical national campaign to focus public attention on drowning prevention, and the Life Saving Society urges individuals to adopt proactive safety measures, including supervising children, avoiding alcohol, and wearing life jackets to ensure safety in and around Bonnyville, in and around water. The town of Bonnyville now proclaims July 15th to 25th, 2026 as National Drowning Prevention Week in the town of Bonnyville. Oh, all right. Community organization funding to June 30th. Any questions? Councillor Langridge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just through to administration, we've obviously had quite a windy weekend. I've had a couple of questions come through, and I know the answer, but maybe just be good. When people have downed trees on the boulevard, who and where should they be calling for assistance?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through to the councillors. So if they can reach out to the town office here, and we'll get in touch with them. So if they can leave us a message or go on the app, there is the complaints piece on the app as well. So we are monitoring that, and I know that Public Works has been out there trying to actively clean that up as best they can and as quick as they can. But if there's anything they have missed, please just contact the office, and then one of the staff members will get back to them right away.
Perfect. And my second question, do we have an update on the Area 2 of when it will be completed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through the councillor. I think right now we are just trying to have a discussion with the contractor right now. And the hope would be within the next couple of weeks, I think, was the hope that we could get some more, but I'll let Brad kind of touch on this a little bit more.
The bulk of the work is done. We're waiting to set up a CCC inspection where we officially take it over, and then the warranty period starts. But like the sod is laid, the playground has been fixed. There aren't, there may be a few deficiencies here and there, but they'll be addressed, over the next couple of months. But yeah, it's looking good.
And I think the only thing I would add is there is warranty work that needs to be conducted, but that work usually will be completed closer to the end of the warranty period. Once the construction's confirmed complete and the walkthrough's been done, then those aspects will be cleaned up and fixed. And then there was a question from Councillor Sharoon regarding a rail on the one touch point. That is the design. There is no scope change there. It is built to spec. And we do have confirmation from our contractors and our engineers, and it is to code.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Kushner?
Not so much a question as a comment. I rode by there today and they did the pavement on that, what we were asking for, so that was good.
Thank you. Any other questions for administration? Okay, we have a couple items in camera. If I can get a motion to move into camera, please. Councillor Kushner.
Give you the motion to move in camera.
All in favor? Carried.